Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. This is what I've been making today. It's a starbox. Now a starbox is a pretty classic origami fold, and all we've done to it is we've just glued down the points so that it keeps its shape, and I've also made a little lid for it with a little handle. So stick with me and I will show you how I put it all together. I originally made this project using the Floral Boutique DSP, and when I looked back at the recording, it wasn't very easy for you to see where the folds were on that particular pattern of paper, and also whenever I was trying to fold, because the paper is quite stiff, it was making an awful rattling noise. So I'm going to refilm the project. This time I'm using Night of Navy DSP from the Regals stack, I think that's right. And what I'll do, I will tell you what I'm going to do, and then when I'm actually doing it I will turn the sound right down. Maybe I'll play a bit of music so that you can watch what I'm doing and not hear the paper rattling in the background. So I hope that's okay. So I will begin with my 9-inch square of Night of Navy DSP, and I'm going to start by folding north to south and east to west. And now I'm going to fold corner to corner and corner to corner. I've set my paper up so that my edge to edge folds are mountain folds and my diagonal folds are valley folds. I've got the paper this way up because this is the side that I want to have on the outside of my box, and now I'm just going to collapse the shape. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take that corner and fold it in to the center line, and then I'm going to repeat all the way around the shape. So I've got a piece of paper that is in the shape of a kite. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift one of the flaps, I'm going to open it out, I'm going to put my finger inside, and then I'm going to squash this corner out, making sure that that fold is level with the seam here. And I'm going to do that all the way around the shape. So now I have two sides that look like this, but I also have two sides that look like this. So there's a folded edge there, and I'm going to bring that over to meet the center line, and I'm going to do that on both sides of my paper. I'm going to take that point and fold it over to here. And then I'm going to turn the paper over and repeat. I'm going to work that back and forth to create the bottom of the box. Now the star box is nearly finished. So I'm going to take this point here and I'm going to fold it up, but I'm going to make sure that I fold at this line here, where it's level with those two folds, not from here. Okay. So now I have this shape, and all I have to do is to fold it out, and there's my star box. I can either leave the flaps as they are, or what I am going to do is fold them underneath and put a little bit of glue on them to hold them, so that they form that shape. And I'm also going to just pinch these corners, and again, this is optional, don't have to do that, just to sharpen up the fold a little bit. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to let the glue dry while I go and make the lid. I want my star box to have a lid, so I've measured the opening in the top of the box and I found it's 2 1/4 inches square. So I've cut a square of Night of Navy that is 3 1/4 inches square, and I'm going to score all the way around at 1/2 inch. So get my cutting blade out of the way because I don't want accidents to happen. I accidentally chop off a bit that I didn't want to cut away. Because it happens. Definitely happens to me. Okay, I can put that away now just for a minute, and I have my scissors, and I'm going just to snip in to the corners, and I like to snip out a little sliver because that makes it sit together so much better, and I like to work my way around in each corner, alternating them, but that's just me. Okay, so I'm just training my folds, and since I have my wet glue handy, that's what I'm going to use to glue it together. And I've got some mini clothes pegs here. These were clothes pegs that Stampin' Up used to sell, but they've retired. But I've still got a few left, so I'm going to put them to good use. And why not? Right, that's why you cut a little bit away. I'm just going to put the clothes peg there to hold it while the glue sets. And if you haven't got mini clothes pegs, you can either stand there and hold it, or if you haven't got time, paper clips do a great job. Right, I'm going to let that set up for a few minutes. Now I have already gone ahead and prepared the top part of the lid, and this is a square of Night and Navy that's 2 3/4 with a piece of the Night and Navy DSP on top, which is 2 1/2 inches square. So I've just put that together, and when my glue is set from the other part of my box, I will put them together. While I'm waiting for that to happen, I have one more thing that I want to do. Now I want a stopper or a handle, whatever you want to call it, that will enable me to get the top of my box off nice and easily. So I'm going to make a paper, well, I'm going to make a paper bead, but I'm not making a large opening in the middle of the bead, because I don't want to thread it onto anything. I just want to make this more or less as a stopper. So I've got a piece of the Night of Navy DSP, and I have cut it to, I think that's about 1/2 inch, and I've just taken the full length of the 12-inch strip, and I've got a cocktail stick, and I'm just winding the cocktail stick around the paper. No, the other way around, the paper around the cocktail stick. That's all I'm doing. And I'm just winding it nice and tightly. Now if I were making an actual paper bead, I'd probably be using a bead end cap, which you can buy very inexpensively, and I would be working around something like a knitting needle. I found a 5mm knitting needle works quite well, and then when I finished I would probably almost certainly glaze them in some way. So I would either put a paper varnish on them, or more likely I would dip them into ultra thick embossing enamel and give them a couple of coats of that to make them nice and glossy. Okay, so I'm just going to glue that end down, and that is phase 1 of my bead. Now for phase 2, I've cut a long skinny triangle, and I've tried to get as much of the length of the 12-inch piece of paper as I possibly can, and I've tried to make it the same, pretty much the same width to start off with, so it's about 1/2 inch wide as the paper underneath. And I'm going to wind this round, and I'm going to try and get it as central as I can on my bead. So a little bit of my wet glue to start. It doesn't have to be wet glue. Glue stick works really, really well for this kind of project, and this is the kind of thing that you can do with children. Children love making these kinds of beads, and I wouldn't dip them, the children, I wouldn't dip the beads in UT. If I was doing this with children, I would probably paint over them with the paper varnish, or something like a gloss Mod Podge or something like that. So I'm just winding this up, and I'm just keeping as centered as I can so that I finish up. And when I get nearly at the end now, so I'm just going to apply some glue just along that last little piece along there. And just winding that up. And there you go. There is my paper bead. Right, so my lid has set up nicely, and now I'm going to bring in the lid topper, for want of a better word, and I'm going to put some wet glue, oops, onto my lid inner, and I'm going to try and get that as centered as I can. I think that's doing pretty well. Turn it over. Here's my paper bead, and again I'll try and get that reasonably central. I'll put my finger underneath to support it while I push down, because I want a good contact. I want that to stick very, very well, because that is what people are going to be using to lift the lid on and off with. Now, I think the top of it could look prettier, so I have a 3/8 of an inch circle punch and a little leftover scrap of my Night of Navy paper, and I'm just punching out of that circle, spot of glue on the top there, and I'll pick this up using the cocktail stick to help me, and then that sits on the top and it covers all of the coggy bits. Here's take 1 and here's take 2, and I hope that you've enjoyed this project, and if so, please do come back and visit me again soon. Give me a like, leave me a comment, visit my Facebook page, visit my blog, all of those good things. But for now, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.